Hey everyone, Joe here from ActionX, and welcome to What's on the Tube. Welcome back. If this is your 15th Matlock Season 2 episode review, hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying safe out there in the big whole world. Well, it's that time again. The penultimate episode of a show. This is where the marbles are dropped. This is where the board is set for a very interesting finale, if I do say so myself. And having watched this episode, I am very intrigued on both how slow it was a little bit, but as well as how fast paced it was at the very end of it. I love the appearance of a legendary Jenny alum, and also the fact that now we're really starting to close the border, but it seems like it's not as simple as it may be, and I'm just very curious to see how it'll play out to be. I'm really very curious about it. But with that being said, I kind of just want to get straight into it. Otherwise, just before I do, this was a really, really well done episode, and I think honestly they just set the board perfectly for not just for the finale, but also maybe giving the little first hints at season 3. But again, let's go through it. Let's talk about this week's episode of Matlock via the Butcher recap. So I want to say we begin with the dream sequence where apparently Maddie has this is post exposure. It worked. Maddie's on record for having conducted this kind of illegal investigation. Everyone knows about her. Her entire life has been upended, and it has really been it's kind of like a pseudo dream and nightmare for her, but thankfully again it is just a dream nightmare, so nothing is happening. She is still Maddie Kingston, pretending to be Maddie Matlock, so there is no change in that, so to speak. But as we begin properly, it's kind of the real countdown is here. Obviously now they got all the pieces in stone, and it seemed like Edwin has been doing this entire season. It's like, oh my god, I can't believe we're just days away from finally putting a closure on all this. Like, it'll all be blown out in the open, and now we get to move on to whatever is next. And believe from there exactly where we exactly go to be. I'm trying to remember exactly what's going on. I feel like I don't want to miss scene, essentially speaking. But yeah, Maddie's kind of becoming a little bit saddened by the idea of wrapping it up with her persona, having to say goodbye to everyone in New York before she heads back to California. So it is a very, very sad time for her in a very unique way of saying it. We cut to the offices of the Jacobson Moore for the new case of the week, where it is, I want to say, so it's a LaGuardia airplane flight crew or tarmac worker who has accidentally made a mistake with one of the ramps at the airport, and sadly that led to the death of one of the passengers on one of the flights he was unloading, and now he's being sued for obviously related to the death, which again he did not commit, but there is a bit of background into that matter where he did take some drowsiness medication. It didn't affect his work style. But still, regardless, he's in a very tough place when it comes to, his validity in this matter. And who is none other than the prosecutor? Ladies and gentlemen, Monica from The Rookie is the prosecutor for this episode. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Pardon my French. What's going on here? Because if you were watching The Rookie, our last episode review, Jared Padalecki from Walker, also Supernatural, but primarily for us here, the What's on the Tube channel, Walker himself was on The Rookie, and now we have a rookie character on Matlock. Again, she's playing a completely different character, but she's playing a lawyer. I mean, come on, please, you can't tell me otherwise. But yeah, so she's the prosecutor, very heavy hitting. Obviously, there's a bit of a discern the division between her characters. I do know, sadly, one spoiler about The Rookie, which we'll talk about when we get to that episode in a couple reviews from now. But I'm like, damn, it's like did she just literally before I get any further, minor spoilers for The Rookie, minor spoilers. Just cut 5-10 seconds later if you want to avoid it right now. Did she just go from once she passed away as one lawyer, she reincarnated as another lawyer on TV? It's like. I find it hilarious to say the least. I really do. I believe she is a Jane the Virgin alum. That's what I heard online. I don't think that's the case. I'll have to do my research, but yeah, because there was another Jane the Virgin alum that we'll get to in a little bit. But once they kind of get the brass taxes on that matter kind of settled, the core trio meet back up about just how they're going to handle things, with the upcoming release of information. Obviously they need to find someone that will be able to take this case all the way to the very end. They need to find someone that they can trust and that will actually be very firm on the footing, as well as keeping this entirely secret until the moment of release. Maddie says she has claimed to found someone that will provide them with that information, but only Maddie will know about it, and Julian will get involved when the time comes, and eventually Olympia will get involved when the time comes. But essentially, this is being bottlenecked to the point that it will prevent any sort of leaks right now. But right now, it's business as usual. Even with the merger looming, that's all they gotta do. Speaking of the merger, Olympia and Julian are discussing the matter of Sarah. As again, last week we talked about Sarah having to decide between choosing Team Olympia or choosing Team Julian once the merger is over, and she still wants to use the entire period of the merger to decide where she wants to go to. But Julian's like, look, I'm gonna leave eventually. Once this whole matter is over, I'm moving on. So it's better for you to keep to bring back Sarah fully in your team. Olympia agrees, but again, this is clearly Sarah's decision. Which again, the merger looming and the merger person reminding them every single damn minute is not entirely that funny. It's not funny. Apologies, my throat is tired. I've been talking all day. So Maddie goes out to meet her connection, the one who will take this case to the DOJ. To actual criminal records. Ladies and gentlemen, Gina Rodriguez, a.k.a. Jane the Virgin herself. Oh, Jane Villanueva. First of all, fantastic to see her again on TV. I mean, she was in another show called God's Not Dead Yet. I think that got canceled on... Is it God's Not Dead Yet? Or Not Dead Yet? I'm getting confused with there's just so many titles out there. I'm confused. But she did like a 2-season sitcom. Sitcom, dramedy, comedy. I don't remember what it was. But yeah, she did 2 years. But besides that, she hasn't really done anything provision since Jane the Virgin. Okay, she was Carmen Sandiego. She was in that Spy Kids movie. So before anyone says but no, she's done a ton of roles since Jane the Virgin rap pre-pandemic. I get that. I 100% get that. But again, it's been 7 years since that. For me, this is her return to my world of television. And again, I briefly did do a quick impressions before I took down the that specific review / quick impression. Jane the Virgin, one of my favorite shows of all time. I have not rewatched the show since I watched it the first time, but one day I will, and that was a fantastic show. 100 very well done episodes. Bravo to that, and I was very excited for Jenny to move on to this show, and seeing Gina playing a new character, obviously it's a little bit different. Obviously, I view her from Jane the Virgin, from that world. So again, like having the person itself, kind of like it's like the two leading leads from 2 of Jenny's shows in a scene is wonderful. It's amazing. It's like it's like a very weird like polar opposite where like in a way Jenny made Gina who she is now in Hollywood, and now she's also working with someone who has defined Hollywood in Katie herself. So Maddie kind of swindles it a little bit, trying to like kind of lower her expectation, but she does know, hey, look, I know who you are. I got a case for you. If you're willing to take it and you're willing to make a plea deal for one of my associates, I will give you this case. This will be your big career-defining moment. I'm literally dropping you this golden case. And the reason why she chose her because she had her brother also die of an opioid overdose. So there is a really personal connection there, which she's like, that's why you picked me. She hesitates, but she says, okay, I will ponder on this. I may take your case. I need to know more about it, but obviously, I need to see some facts. I need to see some data behind it. I can't just take your word at face value. Maddie's like, yes, here's my card. Please contact this number, and then they will provide you with the follow-up information to make your determination. And Gina's character talks to Maddie about like, what is her? Well, at least it's her name. Maddie doesn't give that name. because she doesn't know what to call herself. Does she embrace the true identity of Kingston, or does she continue to use Maddie Matlock? And her that night, she goes to Julia, where she does express that a little bit about like just the confusion of like, you know, there is a difference between Kingston and Matlock, where like Kingston had a whole life of being, you know, kind of shrouded in the corner, not really exactly taking charge, not really like getting her 2 cents put into place. And then Madlock herself is a go-getter, doesn't take anything for shy, and lets everyone impress her with her personality. So not being able to choose who she really is in that moment is basically kind of in a weird way of her identity crisis. Is she ready to kind of embrace fully who she was before, or does she really want to continue playing with the new identity she came up with for herself? But I believe we get to the trial at hand for the case of the week, and it goes as very well as you might be. Very hard hitting, very stating the facts. Also, Maddie decides to run point in this case. Not only this will be, in a way, her last case with Jacobson Moore. You know, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. But this definitely is a moment where for her, like, you know, she's able to kind of like, you know, come full circle at this. And her first testimony moment is of this witness that claimed that she did see the entire thing occur. She was a stewardess on the flight. She's claiming to see the whole thing. Of course, Maddie tries to discredit her using her age and her eyesight as the reasons to throw her statement out of the way. That does not work at all. And as a result, Maddie has no choice but to back off of it because it doesn't really work out in her benefit. And at the same time, there really is not any other choice with that matter. To be completely honest with you, so I believe from there, I want to say, that goes nowhere. They're going back to the plan, trying to figure out if there's any other way they can like, you know, swing this around a little bit. The prosecutor, aka not Monica, is very, very tough. This isn't going one way or another about it. I forgot one thing about Sarah is that obviously this entire like mini storyline that's been running for the last few episodes, where she's trying to find her real birth parents, trying to reconnect to her own identity. Apparently, she is not the age she thought she was, as she was under the assumption that her age was 28. Apparently, the orphanage did a miscalculation. Apparently, there's 2 extra years that was not on the record. So technically, Sarah is 30. So she's like having all her own identity crisis, where now she's trying to figure out exactly what's going on. The Senior's ex-wife number 2, who is also a major player in the merger, catches wind of Senior going to start retirement very, very soon before the merger is even complete. So just to be done with it, obviously she gets very baffled and shocked. Like, hey, what are you doing? Like, you know, dude, like as long as I married you, you said you would never get married. That would be off the table. And she wants to get back to him and like kind of like, you know, figure that out, because like this is completely out of left field, you know, so to speak. And all Olivia can say, like, well, I think you should direct your comments towards him himself. I have no answers for you on that. Julian also has to play, you know, mediator, try to be in the middle of things so that there is no private moment between them. So that's like his current plan in place for that. I know Julian does meet up with Gina's character to go over the case itself. She is very impressed by it, but of course she asks a very important question about Julian himself. Obviously, Julian had to admit to her, like, the reason why the Wellbrecht documents were not physically there was because of me. I'm the one who moved them because I was under duress from impressing my father. So I accept that, and the whole reason, and I am the person that I would like a plea deal for to avoid any sort of like real penalty for his actions. Which she said that's not the problem, so to speak. My problem is that he's your dad. Like, you know, the point is eventually you're going to be in court with him, and I need you to be ready to testify against your own father, because I'm going to put my entire career on the line. I'm going to use every single favor in the book to get you a plea deal. And if you chicken out on me on the court stand, I will destroy you. So you need to commit that you will not be backing out of this. And Julian is, again, saying that I will not. I will be there. Do not worry about me. I believe from that point onwards, we go back to, where did we go from there? I believe we head back to... I'm trying to remember from there. I know with the case itself, I know they bring in the worker's boss to kind of just rectify his personality, his work ethic, trying to paint that picture of like he has done nothing wrong, he has never done anything wrong, and I don't believe on this particular day anything was wrong. However, again, the prosecutor, being the toughest in the book, fights back saying that, okay, are you 100% certain you never saw this man consuming anything while on the job? And he does kind of sadly admit that, yes, I did see him consuming something. I did not ask him what it was. I assumed he was just tired. He needed some sort of medication to get for the day. Which, again, destroying Maddie and Olympia's credibility on that one. Speaking of Maddie and Olympia, I forgot to mention that they had discussions with the merger and everything with Julian on his way out, that there may be a version where Olympia may not be part of Jacob Samore anymore. She wouldn't want to see what the new brass is like. And, obviously Maddie will get exposed, so her law license will be into question. But, if there is a possibility where Maddie does get out of this, clean skaven, Olympia pitches the idea of them two starting their own firm, starting up their own thing, and with Maddie being loaded, she'll be able to fund the opening costs. Which, again, for Maddie, we already discussed this back in season 1, beginning of season 2. She wants to still be in law. She wants to be still doing these cases, still being in charge, having her newfound second win in life. The only downside is, again, her promise to Edwin, and obviously, Maddie's still trying to find the right balance between what exactly can she do now, where her lineage can go next, when dealing with all this. And also another thing, she and Edwin realized that if this is going to be on the news eventually, Joey's going to find out about this. So they tell Joey about it ahead of time, and he's very shocked, impressed, because, they're doing all of this in Ellie's memory to give her, like, some redemption in her death. But, they're also being realistic. Hey, there's going to be some ploys where, like, if something happens to me and Edwin, if we got to go away for a bit, then Augie will go to Georgia to stay with his aunt, which obviously Joey said, oh, okay, that's fine. And Matt says, don't worry, we will still pay for your accommodations to go see Augie from time to time. And Augie does pitch an idea of, like, well, why don't we just have Joey move into the house? And then when you guys have to go, me and him can stay here so that I can still stay in school. I can still maintain my friends, And Joey doesn't completely agree with that, but he doesn't say it in a rude way. It's just kind of in a way where, like, Matt's like, yeah, you know what? Let's talk to Joey about it. Let's make sure we got all the ducks in the row with that analogy. And Joey admits, like, yeah, no, I'm not ready for that. I'm not. We're only just starting to get to a comfortable place. It doesn't mean I'm ready for him to move in yet. No, I'm not ready for that. And Edwin and Maddie condemned him for, like, okay, at least you were honest not to make him happy. You're doing it because you want to be a good parent for what's best for his development. So definitely it's a good sign for Joey as well, despite his near hiccup scare last week. I believe from there, I know the ex-wife of Senior tries to get in on the conversation, and Julian just uses very crunchy, loud food to deter her away so that she doesn't, get into things. And then when Julian leaves, she eventually corners Senior. It's like, I need to know, like, what the hell's going on? This is not you. This is not you in a million years would ever consider retirement on this. We'll find out about that momentarily. I believe from that point, I want to say that Sarah talks to Julian about the impending merger, and despite everything that has happened, despite her entire history at Jacob Samore, she wants to honor the one who saved her, and she's going to stay on Team Julian. And Julian tells her, well, I reconsider that because there might not be a Team Julian. I'm on my way out. Once this merger is done, I'm going to leave and start and go somewhere else. Maybe a new firm, maybe joining another firm. I don't know. I don't know. And Sarah's like, well, you know what? Maybe joining a new firm would be beneficial to me too. So maybe if you're going to take anyone with you, I would love to be one of them. And again, Julian's like, I don't think so. I don't. I think it's better you stay here, stay on Olympia's team. I think she'll stay out more, and you great guys have a much longer connection than you and me. So I think that will work out better, don't you think? And obviously Sarah gets sad because this isn't what she wanted. She definitely wanted Julian to say, no, no, I'll take you. Don't worry about it. And, you know, her not getting that from him, it definitely probably, it did hurt her for a bit. And even when she goes to, to Maddie about it, Maddie, he's like, well, yeah, I get to be on Team Olympia because that was chosen for me now. And Maddie tries to, you know, try to like condone her, like, well, it's still not a bad team, you know, we're still a group, we're part of an inner circle, so don't worry about things, you know, it's going to be business as normal as well as before. And that to try and cheer Sarah up a little bit, which it does work, but definitely there's a larger cadence to that as well. Back to the case of the week. They're kind of running out of options, so now they just need the wife to go on the stand at least to kind of at least paint the picture like he didn't take any medication like that, and you know that it was all standard medication you find over the counter somewhere, and hopefully that should be enough to like maybe get some of the jury back. But the husband says, no, I don't want my wife to go on the stand because she can't lie. And that's when she realized, yes, I took that specialized medication from the hospital I work at, which was unprescribed. So, yeah, he used an unprescribed substance on the job. So that's, you know, again, having no relation to what actually happened, but it definitely did cause a bit of a snafu with that. And she knows, like, if that goes public, she will lose her job for stealing medication from her place of employment. And she's like, but I don't care. Like, if that's what we need to do, I'll do it. And he's like, no, you love that job. You're going to lose everything because you wanted to help your husband. And obviously, you know, they're trying to be sympathetic, and now they're kind of like, well, we really don't have much of a choice here. There's no other angles we have here. It's either her or we lose the case. So they'll think about it for the night, and then they'll go from it. And Maddie and Olivia kind of joke around like, yeah, you know what? If this case goes beyond the merger, and you know when we leave, then we'll take them on. They'll be the first clients for our new firm for Kingston and I forgot Olivia's last name. Um, yeah, which Sarah overhears it, and then Sarah's like, "What the fuck? Who the hell is this Kingston person?" But we'll cut to that momentarily. Um, then I believe as we wrap things up, specifically speaking, I think the last few run-throughs that I remember correctly was that I know Julian and Olivia have a conversation about Julian admitting to their kids that like, hey, look, Grandpa and your dad are not the best people in the world. Your grandpa essentially formulated an entire scheme to make millions, but at the same time cause a lot of people to die. And for Julian's case, Julian participated in that by stealing the actual documents that would put opioids off the market. So sadly, you know, that didn't exactly work out, so to speak, with that. And Olivia's like, you know, well, we'll find the right way to say them, and hopefully nothing will change as a result of it. Um, and then just to reiterate that point, then I believe Julian touches base with Olympia again about the whole thing, about what the potential trial that Julian would need to testify against his dad. Again, it's a very scary notion, but he's ready to do so. And Maddie has a conversation with Olympia about potentially not putting Maddie on the record. And that, you know, there really would be no need for Maddie Matlock to be on the present paperwork. This entire case would hypothetically revolve around Julian's testimony and the evidence we're going to present. So if Olympia said she was the one that got the evidence and got to figure it out, then Maddie never has to lose anything. She'll still get to keep her license, and then if they spin off into their own firm, they'll be able to keep going. And Maddie pitches that idea to Edwin about potentially, you know, keeping Maddie Matlock alive. That this could be a possibility, and obviously Edwin gets mad again because, again, he's reminding her for the up to million time, we made a promise. We are going to go back to California and resume our lives. There should not be up for debate anymore. We had this conversation many, many times, and obviously Maddie is getting a little bit heartbroken because, like, you know, I understand that. I get that. I know I made that promise. But a part of me still wants to explore the Maddie Matlock persona a little bit longer. I don't think I'm done with this role yet. If there's more people I can help, more cases I can be a part of, and you know, I think only Maddie Matlock is going to get that opportunity. And if I give that up, will I be able to do so as Maddie Kingston? Will that open doors too? Who exactly knows? But at least she calms down Edwin a little bit, saying, like, I haven't made any final decisions yet. It was just an idea that Olympia suggested. But you're right. You're right. We made a promise. We're going to go through once the their investigator partner gives them the go ahead that she's going to pursue forward with this case. Then from there we cut to the next crucial moment where Maddie gets cornered by Sarah, where Sarah admits to Maddie, look, I found out about you and Olivia talking about a potential spin-off firm and this Kingston fella. So I try to do some research on some attorneys named Kingston in the area, none imagine. I'm about to go nationwide, and I stops her and say, no, do not do that. I swear, do not do that. There is no need for you to do that. And Sarah's like, okay, but why? Why can't I know who Kingston is? And Maddie just said, I can't tell you that. And Sarah so when you said I was in the inner circle, that was a lie. Okay. Message received. And obviously, Maddie can't really say much because, again, she can't say anything about it at the moment. So she's kind of stuck in a rock and a tight place with that one. Julian goes to talk to Senior about just, everything going on and, about like just the state of his finances and everything. And Senior's thanking him for his, his work and efforts. That's when Julian gets a call from Gina Rodriguez's character about the files. And, there's some things that need to be discussed. Essentially, the major thing is that the two primary accounts that they're claiming to be the golden goose for this entire thing are actually fraudulent. They have no real existence on the matter. Which is concerning, so to speak. But we'll get to that moment in a second. That's when Maddie also talks to Olympia about, like, hey, look, Sarah found out about Kingston. She overheard us last night. Now she's asking questions. So I don't know what we're going to do. Either we lose Sarah or we pull the whole thing. And obviously they're kind of stuck on a rock place. But before they can even figure that issue out, Julian comes over with a bombshell. Senior never had dementia. He never had that issue post-stroke. Apparently, he's been faking the whole thing to remain the mastermind of this. Because apparently the financial documents that were given to him a few episodes ago were actually fraudulent. They have no real claim. He gave him the financial reports to bust him in the middle of the act. And then it's like, well, that makes no sense because we literally got the comparison notes from the other person. And that's when they realized, well, they probably had like a private conversation before Julian got in there. And he probably planted like, yeah, give them the fake information. They're going to make photocopies of it. And then once I give Julian access to my finances, he's going to pretend to find something. And I'll catch him looking like a fool. And then they realize, oh, wait, someone was watching them the day they went to go meet the scientists. Well, the deceased science's husband, because the wolf was there too. And it's like, oh, no. And then they were like, okay, well, the financial documents are fake. The wolf was watching them from the whole time. So he knows that the three of them are in a conspiracy together against Senior and trying to find out Brexa. And they're like, wait a damn minute. If he's trying to cover all of his trails, they go back to the document room and they find the Brexa study, presumably one of the copies or the master copy or whatever the case might be, inside of the document container, which they're like, damn, and he can claim like, oh, it was always there the whole time. It's just probably someone forgot to digitize it. That's why it wasn't on record. And now they're like, every single aspect, every single angle into their case against Senior has now been destroyed. And now they're kind of left for a kaput because they have a DOJ, they have an FBI agent ready to go with this case with no firm final golden gun. And now all three of them are kind of at a standstill with a merger impending where they might all be fucked. And that was it for this week's episode of Matlock. I think they did a really good job setting the stage with this final episode. Like, will they be able to turn a magic miracle to get Senior fully charged with this? It's a long shot. They only got 44 minutes to do so next time. I already know the finale came out. I don't know nothing about the finale. I know nothing, and I'm planning on watching it in a few days from now. But regardless of that, I'm very intrigued to see where they're going to go with all this, how they're going to wrap this all up. I've already heard the confirmation the Brexa matter will conclude this season. So how the heck they're going to like get that all figured out, I really don't know. I don't know, so to speak. But again, just seeing every character having their like epiphany moments, Maddie with, potentially saying goodbye to Matlock, Olympia ready to go on her own, Julian ready to go on her own, Sarah being more alone more than ever with everything going on, and just every character kind of having a stake in this matter of like, what will the cost of this be? That it went from being a very simplistic, we're gonna go in, we're gonna get the information, and we're gonna leave with no damages to us. Now it's like everyone has a foothold in the race, and it's like no matter what happens next, everyone will be affected somehow. And honestly, it's a tough and a hard noodle here of like where are they gonna go from here? Where exactly they're gonna go from here? And seeing Gina Rodriguez again is wonderful. I think she comes back next week too, or the next episode that I'm about to watch. But regardless, fantastic move by both of them. Fantastic move. But with all that being said, I'm giving this episode 2 thumbs up. Let me know down below what you think of this week's episode of Matlock. Did you love it? Did you like it? Let me know down below. I would love to have a conversation with you about it. But I believe this is going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's the Two from ActionX, reviewing every episode in the second season of Matlock. If you want to know what we're doing normally, What's the Two besides our Matlock episode reviews, right now we are doing rookie episode reviews each and every week after brand new episodes on ABC. But if you don't care about Matlock, you're in luck. We have our season 2 finale review coming up in the next few days, so stay tuned for that. Once that is up, the following week you're going to get a season 3 predictions, and then the following week you're going to get a season 2 review of a non-spoiler capacity for anyone who has yet to binge the entire second season of Matlock, which will be available, which is available in full on Paramount Plus, and eventually I presume on DVD later this year. So you have multiple ways to watch it. But again, we will see you in a few days with the final episode of Matlock for the year. I honestly am ready to see how this story ends. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. And, to say goodbye to these characters for now. We'll see them again next year, but I'm just looking forward to see how this mystery ends. But again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Like, favorite, share if you want to. Ring that bell and follow social media for more. But until we see each other again, thank you so much for watching. Please stay safe out there. Be good to each other. And as always, peace out.